Looking at the back end, and we are going to focus on lists in this session. Lists is basically all the drop downs that you have in your CI module in the front end. And here you can customize the specific terminology for your lists, for your company, your business. The first thing you'll see if you click on list is this screen. You need to select your company. So if I'm going into my construction company, for instance, and you have two options to do the following now. You can either change the lists according to your company or to site specific. So if you click on the site, it means the list that you're going to modify is going to be for this site only. If you leave it open and don't select the site, it means that anything you change will change for your company. So all the sites that's listed under your company will have the same lists then. You need to think about this carefully because if you have a business with different types of sites, so for instance, you might have a depot with transport vehicles and you might have a landfill facility with treatment plants. Your lists might change in those sites because of your functionality on the different sites. So you need to make a decision. What are you going to do for your different sites? Are you going to keep it all the same and the company talks the same language across sites? Or do you need to change the list according to the specific sites and the specific operations on those sites? So I'm just going to click on my site because I'm changing for this one site. I'm going to change a list so that you can see how it works. The next thing you can do is go to this drop down. Then you'll see all the labels that's in your CI sheets. Wherever you have a drop down, it will have these labels attached to them. So it will basically be the heading of the drop down. If we go into results, if we look at this specific list, you can see we have injury results, for instance. So we have different injuries that can result in different outcomes, if I can put it that way. So the list that we have is the master list that comes up, and it gives me specific wording that is currently set in Eland. So say, for instance, I want to change something on this list. Let's have a look at let's say we'll take fatality and we say we don't want to see fatality. I can hide the word fatality and then I save it. Or I can say I want non work related injuries. I want to call it, let's say home related injuries, and then I can just click on this. Say, for instance, I want to change something and I realize I'm on the wrong list. You can just go to the next one and then just close that one. Close that one. The way the lists work is you have to click on the actual pencil, edit what you need to edit, and then save it. What you do need to make sure is that when you do your lists, that you in your site or in your company at least. Because if you make any changes to a list and you haven't selected a company, it should select automatically. But if you haven't selected the company, you are changing the master list, which we don't want you to do, obviously. So just please make sure that your company is selected. It should the system default to your company. But it's at least that is selected so that you don't change the actual master list. If, for instance, if we say, I'm just going to open the result, the incident result. When you selected your permissions for your end users, you had a permission that says email the person for any major incidences. So the list that we're looking at now is the very first drop down that we get when an incident is captured. So when an incident or event is logged in as a CI, this is the very first drop down list that will be allocated with a major or a minor implication. If it's major, if we have a block here that says major, it means that if you select that specific item on the list, it will send the email to the person in the permissions saying they need to receive notification of a major event or major incident. And that's why this list has got the blocks with major in it, so that you can select and say, I wanted to have email the person with the permission to get this notification. So again, if I want to make any changes, I make sure my company is there. If I want to change it for just a specific site, I can do that. I click on the pencil. If I say with automated checklist, I want everybody to get it as a major, I can save it. And then anybody that gets it will get the email notification. But I can also say, no, that's not necessary. I don't want them to have it. And then I can do that. I can also say, I think I just need to refresh quickly. I can also, under this specific, let's get this done. Under this specific list, I can also hide. So if I don't want to see anything, so for instance, change control approved, I want to hide this because it's got nothing to do with my site. I also want to hide this one because it's got nothing to do with a construction site. But the automated checklist is definitely something that I want to keep, because we have automated checklists, as you would have noticed in our checklist, where we raise a CI out of a checklist. So I want the system to tell me if a specific CI was raised out of a checklist. The same if we go down, you'll see we have in this specific list, we have a management measure failure. So again, this is a system generated management failure reasoning for the CI that was raised. So please never ever hide this one, because the system will need to select that specific reason why a CMS failed and a CI was raised for it. So your automated checklist and management measures needs to stay in this specific list, please. And then you can hide and you can make major whatever you need to make major. And as soon as you make it a major, it will communicate to the people that received the permission for that communication. To add anything to a list is you're going to go down here. You're going to open it. You're going to say test. Don't have to give a description, but you can. That's the list that so it should be added to, and then I can say add. And now it's added the test. I'm just going to hide this because I don't want that anymore. But that's how lists work. You're going to have to look at all the different drop downs in the different sheets in your CI module to understand these labels. Once you understand where the lists come from, you can then customize your lists to make sure that you talk the language that your staff understands and knows. So lists are there to customize your CI in the front end, the drop downs in your front end. And that's lists.